Ielts Listening, version K0012.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. Write all your answers in the listening question booklet. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1 on page 2 of your question booklet. Section 1. You will hear 2 friends called John and Anna talking about a holiday Anna has just had on Jackson Island. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 7 on page 2. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Hi, Anna. How was your holiday to Jackson Island?
It was good. There's quite a lot to see. It's quite a big island, really.
Yeah, I was thinking of going in the summer. So where would you recommend going on the island?
Well, the capital, of course, Camford. I stayed there with my cousin.
Anna stayed with her cousin, so cousin has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 7.
Hi, Anna. How was your holiday to Jackson Island?
It was good. There's quite a lot to see. It's quite a big island, really.
Yeah, I was thinking of going in the summer. So where would you recommend going on the island?
Well, the capital, of course, Camford. I stayed there with my cousin.
What did you do there?
Well, actually, I spent most of my time there shopping.
So has it got good shopping centres?
Yes, but they're the same as at home, really. So I did all my shopping in the market, which is great.
What kinds of things are good to buy there?
Everything. But bags and shoes especially. Just make sure you've got cash with you, as most of the stalls don't take credit cards.
OK, that's good to know. Where else did you go?
Well, my cousin and I went to Newtown. She said it was famous for its modern architecture. We only had half a day there, so we took a bus tour around the town. But if I were you, I'd give the bus tour a miss. Unless you know a lot about architecture, the buildings all look the same. There's a museum, though. That's supposed to be good. You might like that.
OK, I'll give it a go.
Then after that, we headed for Golden Beach because we were going to meet up with an old friend that I hadn't seen for years. But we had to stay in a caravan as the hotels were all booked up.
Is it as pretty as it looks in the brochures?
Yes, it's very picturesque. We did some sailing on the most beautiful blue sea. It was so clear that you could see the bottom, even quite far out to sea. That part of the trip was great, and I'd have liked to have stayed even longer. I'd suggest staying there for a minimum of 4 days if I were you. We had 2 days there, and it wasn't nearly enough.
Sounds great. I'll put that on my must-do list. Was that the end of your trip?
No. After Golden Beach, we drove into the centre of the island, to White Mountain.
White as in the colour?
Yes. The island's great because you can go from the beaches up to the snowy mountain in a couple of hours. We took a tent because we were going to camp, but the weather was so cold, in fact it was snowing when I was there, that we stopped in a motel instead.
Did you go skiing then?
No, but we tried snowboarding and it was harder than it looked. It looks so easy when you see other people doing it, but it took me ages to get the hang of it. I wish I'd had some lessons, but you had to make your bookings in advance.
OK, I'll look into that. Thanks.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 8 to 10 on page 2. Now listen and answer questions 8 to 10.
So are there any other tips or advice you could give me?
I don't know. Let me think. Oh, one place you should try to visit is this very quaint cafe, which is at the foot of the mountain. It has the best cakes ever. It's worth going there just for them.
I'll have to try those. So what other advice would you give?
Oh, let me think. We didn't really have any problems.
Well, how did you get around when you were there?
We wanted to get a motorbike at first. They're very cheap to hire and great fun to ride as the roads are very good. But it turned out not to be a good idea because the weather is so changeable. You'd be much better off in a car. There are plenty of places where you can hire them, and the roads are well signposted so you won't get lost.
And presumably I can get a map when I get there?
Well, you can, but they are expensive. It'd be better to get one here before you go.
Great. That's been really useful. Thank you.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2 on page 3.